Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Last First Date Radio, featuring interviews with experts in dating, relating, and mating in midlife. And now, here's your host, Sandy Weiner.
Hello, everybody. This is Sandy Weiner, and for the third week in a row, I am broadcasting from Israel, where I'm visiting with my daughter and her family, my two beautiful grandchildren. And so I'm delighted that I can do this show from anywhere in the world. I am, as you know, I'm Sandy Weiner. I am a dating and love coach at lastfirstdate.com, and I want to welcome you to Last First Date Radio. We are a featured show about attracting and sustaining healthy relationships in midlife, and every week I bring you in-depth interviews with top experts and cutting-edge authors in the field of dating and relationships. Tonight it's tonight here in Israel, but it's today someplace else. I am going to be speaking with Canada's leading emotional eating expert, Samantha Skelly, and we're going to be talking about using food to numb emotions and keep you from love. I posted this topic actually on Facebook a few days ago, and I got so much interest, and many, many people are very excited about this topic because this totally resonates. It rings true for way too many people, and I'm excited to hear what Samantha Skelly has to say. As a dating coach, I love helping women over 40 become the women of value who attracts her best partner. And a woman of value is a woman who is confident in who she is. She shows up as herself on dates and in life. She doesn't try to play act and be somebody else in order to hook a guy or win a guy over. She knows that deep love comes from sharing from a place of vulnerability, from a place of authenticity. And also she has a lot of self-love and self-compassion, and so she's able to be compassionate towards others. And every week I share a Woman of Value tip of the week, and this week is to be aware of your tone. Now, this used to be a huge issue for me. I worked very hard on not screaming at my children, for example, but I wasn't really aware that my tone was probably just as toxic as if I was screaming. My children pointed it out again and again, and since then, and it's been many, many years since I've parented young children, but I have learned that the tone of our voice matters a lot. So if you're on a date, for example, and you're not happy with your date, you're criticizing in your head, your tone of voice is probably going to come out as bitter, angry, pissed off. So please watch your tone, no matter whether you're on a date, with a friend, at work. Know that your tone of voice really matters. Okay, a few little things that I have to give away. One is my free guide, which is the top 10 reasons why men pull away or disappear, and how you can finally attract and keep the love you deserve. That is a free guide that you can get at lastfirstdate.com. So when this show is over, if you haven't received yours yet, go on over to lastfirstdate.com and grab a copy. And please join my private Facebook group. If you're not there yet, you should be. If you're a woman over 40 and you're single or in a relationship, go over to facebook.com and go to Your Last First Date. Put that in the search bar and ask to join the group. The conversation there is positive, it's supportive, it's juicy, it's wonderful. We talk about everything, and I'm highly involved in the group. We have over 1,000 members. They are amazing, amazing women of value who are all learning to really honor and value themselves in this whole crazy, very confusing dating world that we live in. Now it's my honor to introduce you to my special guest, Samantha Skelly. Like I said before, she's Canada's leading emotional eating expert, and she's the founder of Hungry for Happiness. It's a movement to support women around the world who are suffering from disordered eating and body image issues. She is an award-winning, sought-out international speaker who delivers inspirational presentations to empower those who struggle with the relationship they have to food and to their bodies. Samantha has appeared on Global TV, Shaw, NBC, and CBC to share her message and her mission on an international platform. Join me now for episode number 254, Using Food to Numb Emotions and Keep You from Love with Samantha Skelly. Welcome to the show, Samantha.
Thank you so much. It's so nice to be here.
It's great to have you. Such a great topic. I'm so excited to dive in. But before we get into the juiciness of this topic, I would love if you could just share what inspired you to do this work.
Oh, such a good question. What a great place to start. So it was interesting. I never woke up one day and I thought, I want to help women stop, using food as a drug. That was never my intention, but I was brought into this work through my own battle, my own struggle with food. I grew up as a dancer and an actress when I was younger, and when I quit the industry and I stopped, I started to I lost my significance. I lost that felt sense of perceived significance that I was getting from the industry, and because significance is so important to us and we need to meet that at a fundamental level, I was trying to meet my need for significance through the relationship I had to food. So if I thought to myself, if I could just get fit enough and skinny enough, then I would be able to feel this feeling. And so that belief alone spun me into this deep, the time that I call my diet depression years, where I was on over 50 diets in less than 4 years and really had no idea how to eat like a normal person, was so disconnected from my body. I kind of spun myself into shambles for a while there. And it's interesting because when I was in the depths of it, I didn't realize how bad it was until I actually got out of it. And I can remember, finally getting to a place where I just used food for health and hunger, and I didn't use it for emotional reasons or for deprivation. And I just felt this sense of peace, this sense of ease and release, just knowing that, wow, this is amazing. My mind isn't so consumed with this obsession, and I'm able to just focus on the things that I love doing. And so I spent 3 years in recovery to get to that place. And through that journey, I knew that I needed to turn my struggle, my battle into my message. And so that was the birth of Hungry for Happiness. And my overall mission is to revolutionize the weight loss industry by helping people address the emotional weight that they're carrying, because physical weight often is a representation of the emotional weight that we're holding on to. But the issue is the weight loss industry just kind of tells us to attack the physical weight and not look at the emotional weight, which is of course the driver. So that is the birth of Hungry for Happiness.
Wow. That is an amazing journey that you've been on. 50 diets in 4 years and going through 3 years of recovery. That's incredible. And that your body is resilient and, bounced back, and that now you not only recovered, but now you can teach people. And I so hear you on this. I mean, it drives me crazy, the weight loss industry, the things that they sell us. And I've had overweight clients who struggled so much with food, and they're always on the next diet, or, hiring a health coach who has to keep track of every morsel that they eat. And I mean, all the shaming, and oh my God, I just, I grew up I was skinny growing up, and I was shamed for that too. I think,
for sure.
So,
yeah.
Right? How many of us escape having any kind of body image issue? And here I am with my granddaughters, and one is newborn, so she doesn't obviously have any weight issues or emotional issues. And the other one is almost 3. And I just watch her with this adorable, chubby little body that's just so beautiful. And she loves her body. I mean, today we were, she may believe she was a car. And she took all her clothes off. We were sitting in the living room, and she goes, I'm a car. And she just starts stripping. And she's totally naked on the carpet. She goes, yeah, I'm going to have a car wash now. I mean, like, I think we all need to get to that point, right?
Right? I know. Maybe I'll do that today. Maybe I'll just take all my clothes off in public and tell people I'm a car. Imagine the response.
Going through the car wash. Anybody coming with me? Right?
Yeah. I love it.
So it would be great if we could all recapture our 3-year-old selves before all that garbage got put in the way, right? Let's talk about when it starts and why we do use food as a drug.
Well, ultimately, we live in a culture where we're very pain adverse, right? We really don't know how to deal with the pain that's in our bodies. And, like talking about children again, if a child, falls and scrapes their knee, they run to their mom and they're like, I'm in pain. The mom's like, let's fix it, right? And so we've always known, like, okay, that sensation, whether that's physical or emotional, is bad. We need to get rid of it. We need to fix it. And so as we grow up, we have this belief that pain in our bodies is a bad thing and we need to get rid of it. And so that's the same thing with emotional pain. So we feel the sensation of pain in our bodies, and rather than being compassionate, curious for that pain and asking our questions to really move through it and allow it, we suppress and we numb it. And so ultimately food just becomes a socially acceptable and readily available drug that people use to numb that pain. And so really what I teach my women is pain is a divine teacher. It's a catalyst for growth. And if we don't allow ourselves to investigate and explore it, we end up suppressing it, therefore missing the whole point altogether. Like, pain in our body is giving us a message. It's like, hey, girl, something's not up, or boy, man, whatever. something's not in alignment. There's something that you're not getting here. We need to address what that is. And so food is just that thing that allows us to give us a state change to bypass that pain. But the pain doesn't go away. What we resist persists. It just gets stronger and stronger and stronger, and eventually it's going to smack us in the head one day. And so my work is really about how can we not be pain adverse? How can we lean into pain? How can we allow ourselves to experience the sensation of pain and change of the relationship to it, treating it like the teacher that it is rather than this hindrance in our lives. So when we can get to that place, food no longer becomes, when we ultimately heal, the pain, food no longer becomes, the drug, and we can just use food for health and hunger as it was intended. And so when we learn to use food for health and hunger, ultimately weight loss becomes the result of doing this work, and it's not the focus.
Yeah, I love what you said about pain as a divine teacher. It's a catalyst for growth. I can't agree with you more. And we just tend to run away, and just, I don't want to feel the pain. And actually, just to go back to my 3-year-old granddaughter, she falls down and she says, I'm okay, I'm brave. And she used to cry like crazy, but now she's learned to self-soothe, and she's good. And she also expresses emotions beautifully. And I think we also don't have emotional literacy. We don't even know how to express what we're feeling. And that's something that I focus on a lot, right?
Absolutely.
So how can we lean into the pain? So, yeah, I mean, so do you have an exercise you can share, like a brief exercise to help people, like when they're in that space of I'm feeling something, but I don't want to feel it, so I want to numb it, to get them to really go deeper into it? Yeah. So 3 things. So first, it's presence and awareness, right? Just being aware that this is going on, right? When we use food to numb, we ultimately put ourselves into a state of denial. Like, I don't want to acknowledge this. I don't want to lean into this. So when we can be present and be aware that that's going on, then we can move into acceptance. And acceptance is not complacent with, or is not synonymous with complacency. It doesn't mean I'm going to accept it and never change. It just means I'm accepting what is. And acceptance also doesn't mean you have to like it. I think that's a misconception as well. Like, acceptance just means being real with what is and acknowledging what's going on.
And then it's about removing ourselves from the identification. So often, if we're feeling pain in our bodies, it's like, I am anxious, I am depressed, I am this. And we have these associations, and our ego identifies with the emotion. Well, what if we didn't do that? What if we just said, this is something I'm experiencing. This is not me. This is just something I'm experiencing. And then we got into the inquiry about it, and we asked ourselves, what am I thinking right now to create this feeling? What am I believing to think these thoughts? And we were able to just inquire and ask ourselves about these things and work backwards, right? Because ultimately our beliefs create our thoughts create our feelings create our actions, and our actions are the results of our lives. And so the majority of people, when they're trying to transform their life and change their life, they're only doing it at a behavioral level, right? Like messing with their food or their dieting or their exercise or affirmations or whatever. It's only on a behavioral level. But where we are missing the point is like all of this is perpetuated by a belief that we have about ourselves. And so the pain that we're experiencing gives us data as to where that is and what is actually going on in our bodies. And so when we take the time to ask ourselves those questions, we get a deeper sense of visceral intelligence, and we actually know what belief is perpetuating what feeling of pain. And then we can ask ourselves, okay, is this belief actually true, or is this something I just inherited from, my mother, my father, friends, family, society? And then once we have that awareness, then we can choose what we want to believe to perpetuate the feeling that we want to feel. So that was a mouthful. So I would encourage people to maybe go back and listen to that again. But ultimately, that's how we start. That's like the steps is like the awareness, the presence, then the acceptance, and then the curiosity and the questioning of where that belief came from, where that feeling came from.
Thanks for the recap, because I was getting a little overwhelmed here. But it's great. It's a great process. So then you do the inquiry from the place of curiosity.
That's
like
right,
your own self-inquiry, right? Okay. I'm just trying to capture some of this for the show notes. So our beliefs are just so important to interrogate, because we go around with all these beliefs that are we're not even aware of where they came from, or the fact that they're really not true most of the time. And
totally,
this is just such important work. So when somebody's in pain and they are disconnected from their body because they're in pain, how can they reconnect?
That's a beautiful question. Our bodies, although so let me try and take this at a different angle. Being in our bodies for women who've been disconnected for so long is a very scary and confronting thing. So for women who've been running away from their bodies, they've been numbing their bodies, they've been thinking their bodies were, the cause of all the pain in their life, it can be a very confronting thing to really integrate back. And so what we ultimately have to remember is our bodies are the safest place we can be. When we're in our bodies, when we're connected into our intuition, when we are feeling everything, that is a powerful, powerful. And so shifting our belief from my body is the enemy to my body is my safe space is an incredible place to just start. And I know the reason why a lot of women and men find it hard to meditate is because they don't want to be in their bodies. They don't want to be with that pain. And so I think just having compassion with yourself. Breath is also a beautiful way to connect mind and body, head and heart, using the breath to feel. Because if we try and think our way out of it and logic our way there, it doesn't really work. But if we can just take some deep breaths and be how am I feeling right now? What's going on in my body right now? What's happening right now? And we can kind of start there. That's a beautiful place to start as far as the integration process. And I think it also takes time. For myself, I was disconnected from my body for so long, and I expected to try and reconnect overnight. And I had to give my body time. I had to retrust my body, and my body had to retrust me. It was just this it was a process or a process with whatever country you're from.
You're Canadian, you, right? Yeah. So, yes, self-compassion is huge. But what I keep hearing you say is to get present, to be like, stop, being in your head and get back into your body. Learn to trust your body, learn to trust yourself. I mean, just all that self-compassion, self-trust is so, so critical. And I can only imagine how scary it is for a lot of people to be in their body. And our bodies are so sacred. It's we have such self-loathing and so much fear that we're going to be rejected for our bodies. I just listened to a whole podcast about sex and how people feel about getting naked and just the shaming. Just let's all be my granddaughter and get naked and be a car.
Yeah. I'm totally doing that today. She's my inspiration.
I'll have to send you a picture of her. She's just,
oh my God,
just so much confidence and joy. Oh my God, it's right. Okay, so let's talk about intimacy, because that is the part of the topic today, and how we use food to numb our emotions, and it also keeps us from love. So, so how does food keep people from love, and why do we use weight as a barrier to intimacy?
So a lot of the women that I work with they've had a lot of, sexual, I'm going to use the words like sexual trauma, but there's and I want to be sensitive when saying that, because there's a wide scale. There could be something as minimal, like it could be very minimal, or it could be, very extreme. And so depending on the severity, women feel shameful about their bodies, and what they're doing is they subconsciously don't want to recreate incidences that may have happened, and therefore they use food as a drug, so their body becomes a physical barrier to intimacy, so that doesn't happen again. So they're not vulnerable again. And it's interesting because a lot of the women that I work with, they don't even know this is happening until, they get into the program, they start working with me, and we talk about these things, and they're like, oh my goodness, I totally do that. This thing happened when I was 13 or whatever. And so they come into the program thinking that they have a quote unquote food problem, when really what they need to do is heal the actual root emotional wound and reestablish the feeling of safety in their bodies. And we do that through a process called the Phoenix Formula, which is what I teach in my program. And that is ultimately how we end our fight with food. So we can see the drastic misconception of how the weight loss industry is treating weight problems. They're putting Band-Aids on bullet wounds, and they're selling people quick fixes and all of that kind of stuff, and ultimately that is only keeping them in the cycle. So they are only having to spend more money trying to fix the problem, and there's no problem to be fixed. There's only a wound to be healed and loved. And so when we are aware of what is actually causing this problem, then we can really do some deep work on this. And so it's interesting for women to hear this, and I'm sure for a lot of people listening, they're like, oh my God, that's me. And I get that all the time, and so often they've never made that connection in their lives until I've said it. And so it is a beautifully freeing feeling for women to recognize that and to be able to heal that, because when they do, food no longer becomes the issue, and it's just about how can I truly heal myself? How can I feel more alive in my body? How can I be more expressed? How can I feel more safe? How can I feel more secure around men? How can I feel more secure with my sexuality and intimacy and all that kind of stuff? And also, this alone also prevents women from dating and really getting themselves out there. And they blame the weight problem. They're like, oh, well, I'll start dating when I lose 10 pounds. There's a lot of people that I'm sure have that conversation with themselves. But really, it's about putting yourself out there and healing this part of you simultaneously. It's not one or the other.
Yeah, so people have had different types of sexual trauma. It does run a full gamut. And, it was interesting to me. When I first started coaching, I actually called myself a fashion coach. I found a fascination with how people dressed and how disconnected often they were from who they really were. And so it's so interesting, and I think there was this question I sent out about wearing black because so many women wear black to hide their weight, and they think they look slimmer and they look better, right? And what I found was that a lot of women use their weight to hide. It was really surprising to me because weight obviously makes you take up more space, but it also helps you to sort of hide in the background a little bit. And it's so, right? It's a very interesting dichotomy. And black certainly doesn't flatter almost anybody. It's one of the worst colors to wear, and it doesn't make you glow and bring out the best in who you are. And so I don't do that fashion work anymore, but I found it fascinating, and just what you were saying brought up a memory about that. So there's so much more to say about this, and it's so important. So I would love for you to share. You said you have a program that you're launching right now, or it's ongoing. If you could talk about that, and if anybody is interested in diving deeper into this work, because it's so important.
Absolutely. So we have a program at Hungry for Happiness called the Society, which is our signature group coaching program, and we launch this program twice a year. And the goal of it is to completely heal the relationship women have with food, their bodies, and themselves from the inside out. It's not about putting Band-Aids on bullet wounds. It's not about dipping their toes in and just like trying it out. It's truly about like healing our bodies from the inside out, so we're not recreating these patterns of self-sabotage, using food as a drug, obsessively dieting, yo-yo dieting, binge diet, kind of cycling. And so, the majority of the women that I work with are just like so ruthlessly committed to their transformation because they're so sick of being a victim to the weight loss industry. And so we take them through a process, as mentioned, called the Phoenix Formula. Our tribe is called the Phoenixes, which is, I don't know if you know, but a phoenix is a being that obtains new life from rising from the ashes. And I think it's a beautiful way of explaining what we do with women in the program is we bring them back home. We bring them back to, their essence of who they are, not who they are from these patterns that are running them. And so the Society is a group of about 30 women that go through this together, and it's a beautiful group of women. It's such a wonderful program to run. I absolutely love it, and so we're launching it again on May the 15th.
Okay, great. And how do people find that?
So if you go to hungryforhappiness.com /society, there is an application form there. You fill it out. It links to my personal calendar, and I will hop on a call with you personally, and we will have a chat to see if it's a fit. The program is by application, invitation only, to make sure that it's a mutual fit for both of us going forward. So I would love to connect and see if that's a fit for you.
Awesome. So it's hungryforhappiness.com /society application. Society application?
Society application. So hungryforhappiness.com /society application. That's right. Yep.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Samantha Skelly, for being on the show, for teaching us about using food to numb emotions and keep you from love. And hopefully people will be inspired to stop numbing themselves and really get the help that will not be a Band-Aid, but actually heal them for good.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
You are most welcome. I'm so excited.
And thank you all for listening today. And I hope you all go on your last first date and get in touch with Samantha Skelly because she is up to some amazing things. All right. Have a great day or night, and take good care of yourself. Bye-bye.
Bye.